Hello, listeners, and welcome back to a special episode of People of Product. If you've been listening for some time, you might have noticed that we took a little bit of time off. Actually, we took a long time off. We took a couple months off. And part of that was because we were actually asking some big questions of People of Product and of the work that we're putting in to make this podcast. A big conversation we've been having is, what are the stories we want to tell? What are the things that we want to focus into? Now, we're nerds about product teams. We're nerds about design, technology, culture, product management, test engineering, and all the things that go into building the tools and the products that we use on a daily basis, whether that's a tech company approach, or maybe it's the products that are built inside of our organizations that help us to actually get more work done or to differentiate us from our competitors. Now, selfishly, I am one of the founders of a company called Crema, who's the sponsor of this podcast. And we think a lot about this, right? So if you've been listening for a long time, you know that Dan and I have told many stories about what it takes to build these products. What are the phases of work? What are the people that should be involved? What are the pitfalls? What are the challenges? And as we started to kind of narrow down into the stories we wanted to tell, we could either go towards a couple of different routes. One was the founder story. That is the people that went in and said, I'm going to make a tech company that's going to change the world in some way. And ultimately, this is their story, right? That's the how I built this. That's the masters of scale stories. And honestly, those are awesome. And there's places for those. And I highly recommend those two podcasts and many others. Then there's the stories of the people that are actually building those tools on the inside. So that could be like the Lenny's newsletter podcast, right? So that's a focus on talking to product managers, chief product officers, head of the product inside of the tech companies that we know and love, and maybe the stories of the culture about how they get that work done, best practices, principles. And we do touch on a lot of that, and that's great. But also, we found ourselves at Crema here, we're actually not often working with those kind of companies. We do some work with tech companies, but a lot of the work that we do is with very traditional organizations like services firms, and watching them innovate and invest in their own technology or implementing technology and becoming tech-enabled or product-enabled organizations. So I think that's the aha that we had, is not only is that what we're focused at, our organization, but also we realize that there's so many incredible, innovative people inside these, what you might call legacy organizations, that are doing really, really impressive, smart, creative, curious, innovative work. So those are the stories we want to tell. That's the focus that we're putting here on People of Product. And as we start to shape out what People of Product is as a podcast, we also are thinking about it being much more than just a podcast. So you'll see soon that we're going to be expanding our repertoire of places where you'll see the brand of People of Product, and even a refinement of that brand, referring to it sometimes as POP, People of Product. That might be POP Circles, which are going to be these small private events that we're putting on. We've been doing those for a while here in Kansas City, and we want to maybe expand those to other places. You're going to see a POP newsletter, so People of Product newsletter, where we're going to start to write and recap some of the podcast conversations, but also other ideas and things that actually have a better format in writing versus just in the podcast format. And then maybe other places like courses, or I don't know, places that we might expand the POP brand or the People of Product brand. So more to come there, but we wanted to give you a quick update. So we are starting into a new season, and technically that season started a little bit with the last episode where we interviewed Aaron. We got really excited about this conversation with Aaron, focused into the construction technology space. And Aaron's conversation around the work that he's doing in and out of construction and the innovation that's happening there with Stack and other places got us to thinking, that's a group of people that we work with here at Crema. And we know so many interesting people inside the organizations that we work there as our clients, but also some of the other organizations in the market that are innovating in-house on their own technology, building incredible tools that the world should know a little bit more about. They should know a little bit more about how technology is enabling these organizations to run at scale. So that's what's going to be coming up ahead of you. So if you were listening in, if you're going to subscribe, now is the time to get subscribed or to tell your friends. If you know somebody that's in the AEC space, that's what we refer to it as, the architecture, engineering, construction, or sometimes referred to as the built world or design and build space, We would love for you to share this with them, especially for those that are trying to figure out, how can I innovate inside my organization? A lot of these firms are growing at a rapid pace right now. There's been a massive growth in construction and build, and especially in certain industries like chips manufacturing or data centers or infrastructure or power. And so we want to be able to encourage focus people to come back to these episodes and learn more about how technology is enabling some of these incredible organizations to grow and scale. So we've had people like chief information officers, chief technical officers, chief product officers inside of what are sometimes 100-year-old companies. And that's the thing that's really been exciting to me and actually kind of surprising to me is it's rare to find a company that's not almost 100 years old. And the part of that is because these are companies that have been handed down through generations and generations and generations. And that means that they had to adapt to the times, right? The things that we talk about on a daily basis about building technology that adapts to the user and the needs, they've been doing that in the services space for generations, well beyond when I was born or even my grandparents maybe were even born. And I think that's a story worth telling. And I think a lot of those firms that have done that over a long period of time are now stepping into the 21st century, 2024 and beyond, utilizing things like cloud computing and artificial intelligence and large language models and digital integrated solutions to make sure that a network of tools that they're both using on a day-to-day basis for building information systems or GIS or whatever it might be are talking and connecting to each other. They're thinking really in sophisticated ways about clean, large-scale data that they can source through and get the most out of. They're thinking about things like digital twins, where we can actually see a digital representation of your project, your building, your effort over a long period of time, all the way throughout the project. This is really cool technological advances. And we think these are the stories worth telling. So, stay tuned. Go ahead and get subscribed because there's more to come. Definitely tune in for these AEC conversations. And I hope you learn a lot as we discover the stories behind those companies that are innovating in-house and building up technology that's moving them to becoming tech-enabled services firms. More to come, but thank you so much for listening. And we appreciate everyone who takes the time to sit down and push play on each episode that we've been working on. We're coming up pretty soon on 150 episodes, which blows my mind. And we are so thankful for the people that every once in a while crossed our path and say, I've been listening since the very beginning. Love hearing you guys talk through your journey and through the journey of others. Keep doing what you're doing. So that's it. We're going to keep going. Thanks for your patience while we took some time off, but there's so much more to come. Stay tuned.
People of Product is brought to you by Crema, a design consultancy that helps forward-thinking leaders discover, understand, and execute on their greatest opportunities. Learn more at crema.us.